So today we talk about office space. So again, this is thinking about how you're going to divvy up your expenses. And the first part of this is your office costs. So when you hear about main office costs, you think about what? What are the things that you would have as your main office? Yeah, but
Rent.
Oh.
rent. What else?
Utilities.
Utilities. Okay, maybe parking permits, that's a good one. Everybody doesn't really think about that, right? Do you have your own parking lot, or in a big city, you probably have to, yeah, find some garage near you? Okay, so then all of our pens and pencils and that kind of stuff. Don't forget, this is a big one that a lot of people forget, is cleaning, right? You gotta have some kind of janitorial service. Do you have that on staff? Is that your own people, or do you bring in somebody at night to do it?
That's what we used to do with the parlor, but they sucked and they're paying too much. So they just made us.
So they made you do it. Right. So when I go to the work out in the mornings, Northwest Bank, there's always a van full of people getting in and out, you know, when I'm going and then when I'm coming home. So again, they're dispatching it out to somebody where they'll send that they tried that but it didn't work. Okay, obviously this is one of the things that we have a lot of problems at school with that, trying to keep those people. Okay, so again, that's where I'm going to tell you, if you're in a situation where you might rely on those kind of people, it's probably a good thing to suck up to, you know. And, you know, it's not that bad to bend over and pick up a piece of paper once in a while. Okay? If they're happy, usually then you're happy. Okay? Other things that we could have, any kind of maintenance on our building. So, some punks walk by and throw a rock through the window. We got to fix the window. Graffiti would be a big one in big towns or big cities. Okay, so are you gonna leave it up, or are you gonna take it down, or are you gonna repaint it? That's a lot of money, right? Realistically, in the big cities, they probably go through a lot of that kind of stuff. And then insurance. Okay, do I need insurance not only on my building? I probably need insurance on my product that's inside the building. You know, just property insurance. And so there's all different kinds of it, but it's gonna tally up. So we're gonna put all this into one giant pool and see how we're gonna disperse it. Okay? Then you got to think about, okay, so do I own the building or am I renting the building? Big difference too, right? Because if I own the building, then I probably have more responsibilities of it. If I'm renting the building, I can probably pawn that off on whoever I'm renting it from, right? Meaning snow removal, meaning cutting the grass. Okay, so are we going to hire somebody to do that? You know, if we have a ginormous parking lots, are we going to hire Greenway to do it? Or are we going to hire a person and that's just their job, right? So they're in charge of snow removal, they're in charge of then mowing, maybe garbage, maybe they're in charge of polishing or waxing the floors too. But that person would have a specific job, okay? So if I own the building though, then we gotta think about what? Well, then I gotta pay another tax probably, or taxes on the property. I gotta have property insurance. And then notice up here, you probably aren't going to own the business, or yes, you own the building, but you probably don't own it, meaning you're going through the cycle of a mortgage or something, so you'd have a payment on that. And then don't forget about depreciation, right? Does my land depreciate? No. So the parking lot and that kind of stuff doesn't depreciate, but my building does, right? So we take a hit every single year or month or however we're gonna figure it out.
So then what do they do with like parking lots, like breaking and cracking and stuff? Isn't that technically depreciation?
Well, I would say, yeah, you would be right there, but technically that you could still get the same amount of money if you would end up selling it. But yeah, so that would be more of a maintenance problem for you than it would be that you're depreciating that. but that's a good point, absolutely. Okay, so the first part of this is just figuring out what you're going to basically have as a grand total. That's what A and B is. So look at letter A. We're on 403. It says an office was 2,600 square feet, rents for $49,400 a year. The most important part of these problems right here is recognizing whether the expense is a monthly expense or a yearly expense. Okay, do I have to add them all up? So, power, natural gas, and maintenance are estimated to cost $4,940 a year. What is the total? And I think if you haven't already in your book, you should cross out monthly and put yearly, right here. So what is the total yearly cost of this office space per square foot? Okay, so what do I have to do in this case?
Take the cost divided by square feet.
Okay, so what are our total amount, or what are our total expenses that we would add up?
The rent and the maintenance.
Right, so I gotta do the 49,000 and then the 4,900 number, add those two numbers together. And then once I get that, I would do what?
Divided by 2,600.
Perfect. So how much is it per square foot?
$20.90.
$20.90, okay? So that would be the answer to the first question. The second question says, if one workstation's area is 32 square feet, how much does this workstation cost per year? So now I'm going to take what?
The answer times.
Times 32.
Perfect. The answer that we got times 32. So that one little workstation costs us $668.80 per year. Makes sense, right? Because we gotta have all those things for that particular person, right? We need electricity, we need those kind of things. All right, letter B. A 40,000 square foot building contains a warehouse and offices. Okay, the offices occupy 10% of the building. The rent, power, maintenance, insurance, and other costs for the entire building is $1.2 million per year. How many square feet does the office occupy? And then what is the annual cost of the office? So now we gotta actually do a little math, right? So how do I figure out how much are just our office spaces?
40,000 times 10.
Perfect, times 0.1. So we get what? Easy math, 4,000. And then what do I do with the 4,000? You got a couple ways of doing this one, okay? So you could just do and use that number, but you're still gonna, if you use that specific number right there, then you're gonna have to do more math at the end. So basically, you still have to do 0.1% or 10% of both the square footage and the total expense number. So you gotta take 10% of 40,000, which you already did, and then you have to take the 10% of your 1.2 million. So if you take 10% of your 1.2 million number, you end up with, obviously we're just moving the decimal one place. So 128,960, and then I would take those two numbers and use them as in my division problem. So I'm gonna take 128,000 divided by 4,000. So each of our offices would cost us what?
$322.40.
$32.24.
Yeah,
32.
32.
Oh, I divided by 400 now.
There you go. All right with that? So just, you gotta really read the question carefully and see what they're asking you to find and make sure. Okay, so the next part then talks about unit costs of work. So this would mean we're really gonna break it down, okay? So why would we wanna know this? We basically wanna know what each workstation is costing us for the entire company. So we're basically seeing, if you guys would each be involved in your own little section of the company, you would have probably your own area. So then John has 10 people under him, but Dylan only has 3 people under him, but they have the same space. Does that make sense? And are we getting the same amount of production or money out of Dylan's 4 guys that John's 11 guys are doing it, vice versa. Okay? So, the other thing we could do is we could see if it's basically split up exactly the same. So all of you are the leaders of your little groups, and you all have 10 people under you. And we're before the parlor, so we're at one of the plants making whatever. If John's group hits 500 ice cream cones, and Carson's group only hits 300, why? Right? Is John's team just better? Is did Carson's team have COVID for a while? Did you have a breakdown? Okay? So if everything's good, and Carson is, 200 behind John, what probably happens to Carson? Later, dude. Right? Or, depending on what the company's like, but he might get a warning or something, or if they went through the COVID or they went through the breakdown, did he do enough to get him back online fast enough? Okay? Did he ask for help? Did he get his equipment fixed on a timely manner? Maybe it wasn't his fault. It was Ian's fault because he was in charge of the fixing it, right? So now Ian might lose his job because he didn't respond to the fixing tape, right?
It's their fault for not paying me enough.
What?
It's their fault for not paying me enough.
Or you're just lazy and you're on your phone instead of watching TikTok instead of trying to do what you're supposed to do, right? And then obviously we could use the same thing company to company. So if we could find, we would obviously know the data of our company, but then if Bunk had another company on the other side of the state and she's doing basically the same thing, we're going to compare our data to her data. If our data is way behind hers, we might reach out to their people and say, hey, what are you guys doing, right? How are you making so much more money than we are? We're basically, it looks like we're doing the exact same thing, so what's the secret? And she would say, well, I'm bribing people to get more money. No, whatever, okay? So obviously then, you would have those kind of people as a part of your company, but they might reach out, you might send somebody to their plant to see how they do things, right? That's not a bad idea, okay? Or then you have to actually look at, supposedly it's the exact same product, but let's actually get a couple and compare them. Is her product actually better than ours? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe she's actually, theirs only lasts a year, ours lasts 5 years. So right. So she's selling more, but the reason she's selling more is hers breaks down. No offense.
Apple does with phones. And batteries die after.
Right. Okay. So that's what you're going to try to figure out. So what each workstation costs them, and then what is the unit of work. So we're still on page 403, letter C. This one's really important that you understand how many people you're talking about per problem. Okay, so the letter C, it's really important in some cases that the first sentence where it says 3 workers, that's sometimes really important. So make sure you are very astute to that. 3 workers in a document center produced this number of lines of text in a week. Emma did 15,000, Edwin did 13,000, and Jose only did 12. The total cost of running the center for the week was $2,257. How much did each document line cost to the nearest cent? So in this one right here, we're not even really comparing or seeing who's the best, right? We're just seeing our total amount. So the first thing, obviously, we're going to add up all of our lines of text or whatever it was. Yeah, text. And then, so here's the question. Don't say it out loud. Let everybody think for a second. Are we going to put the total number of text divided by the money, or are we going to take the money and divide it by the total amount of text? So the important thing is read the last segment. How much did each document line cost? So what has to be on top?
Money.
The money has to be on top. Everybody agree? Cost per line, basically. So whenever you say cost per line, that's my fraction. And so what you come up with?
5 cents.
5 cents per line. Not too bad, right?
Not too bad.
Seems pretty good production.
Cause he's gonna get fired.
Or Jose, well, you never know. Maybe the goal was 12,000. And then Emma's just a really hard worker. She wanted some overtime. I don't know. Okay. Now, if the thing was 13,000, then Jose could be in trouble, right? We just don't know that. So letter D. This one's tricky because you got to read the problem right, if I remember. Copy paper costs $4.15 per ream, which is 500 sheets. You understand what that means? It's one of those packages. Okay. When bought in a case of 10, the same paper costs $38 per case. Okay. So what is the cost per ream when buying a case? So how do I find it when I'm buying the ream or when I'm buying a case?
Divide by 10.
I take 38 divided by 10, so now it only costs us what? $3.80, right? What is the savings per ream when buying a case? So you take 415 minus 380, right? So here's the question. It's the end of the billing cycle, maybe a yearly thing, maybe it's a monthly thing, okay? And you need one more ream of paper, okay? So what do you think's better? Here's the question. Is paper ever going to go bad?
No.
Kind of
It's
yes, kinda.
yellow.
Yeah, so I guess you'd have to decide, is your place, is it gonna turn to the summertime and is it gonna be humid? Could it get wrinkly because it's humid, okay? So those are the kind of the things, yeah, we're saving a ton of money if we buy the big old box, right? With the case of it. But are we okay with that sitting there maybe for a month until we start that process over again? You know? Obviously, if it's milk, we don't want to buy that case of milk. But in paper or something like that, it might be okay, right? If we have the little boats or the little bowls at the parlor, we probably don't care if those sit there forever, right?
Yeah, we just got like 15,000 bunnies and not like the blue bunnies that we stored in a gift shop, and now they're just towering in the back. They're gonna be there for like 10 years.
Right. But they probably got a heck of a deal by buying that many, right? So another way of thinking about this, you know, like the little medals that you give out. I just had to order that for golf and for academic excellence at the end of the year. So my question was, how many do I order, right? Do I order just try to do it yearly, or is there a quantity? And if I reach that certain quantity, then it goes from, let's say, $3 a medal to $2.75. Well, in my case, I'm never gonna go out of those, or I'm always gonna use those up, you know what I mean? So if I can find 500 of them, and when I get up to 500, then it goes from $3 to $1.75, I'm probably gonna buy 500 of them right away. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't care how long they sit there. Same thing with your blue bunny things. As if they're never going to go bad, we got a great deal on them, right? So that's the other thing you got to think about. Can I store them somewhere? Do I have the space to store them somewhere? That's a big thing, you know, a lot of the times, right? So again, then you know you can even do this, and this is where the Best Buy little thing's going to come into play. Do we go to Costco or Sam's and buy 100 rolls of toilet paper instead of buying the little packages? Well, I know I'm always going to have to use toilet paper, right? Unfortunately. Yeah. But do I have space to store 100 rolls of toilet paper right now? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You know what I'm saying? But it's probably never going to go bad unless, again, it gets wet somehow or something. But that's just your pipes breaking or something. So, okay? So, like I said, the biggest thing that you have to really concentrate on today is making sure that you read the question carefully and know exactly what they're asking about. Okay? Any questions here?
No, sir. Boy, I see his envelope right there.
All right, there you go.